Some stories don't need words. They speak through emotions, through silence, through moments. Here, every frame is a story. Every pause is a message. Welcome to Tales Beyond Words, where silence speaks and feelings tell the tale. Iron Ridge, Texas wasn't the kind of town that made headlines. It had one diner, one school, and one auto garage that had outlived 3 mayors and more. Tornadoes than anyone cared to count. That garage, Wilson Auto, had been built brick by Hank Wilson, a man whose name was spoken with respect in every workshop for 100 miles. Hank could make a dead engine purr like a kitten, and his temper could make grown men cry. But after 40 years of grease, grit, and stubborn bolts, Hank retired, leaving the keys and the legacy to his only daughter, Samantha Wilson. Samantha wasn't what most people expected from a mechanic. She was young, just 22, with wild auburn curls usually tied under a faded baseball cap and a calm confidence that unnerved anyone who tried to challenge her. She had inherited her father's instincts and added a little something extra, an engineering degree, a knack for modern systems, and a chip on her shoulder from every man who ever said, "You sure you know what you're doing, sweetheart?" That chip would come in handy on a Monday morning in July, when the air shimmered with heat and the sound of a rumbling engine echoed down Main Street. The sound wasn't normal. It was strained, forced, a once beautiful engine dying with every mile. All heads turned as a sleek black Corvette ZR1 pulled into the Wilson lot, its matte paint glinting like a threat. Out stepped Charles Granger, CEO of Granger Motors, wearing an overpriced suit that didn't belong in a place where hands were meant to be dirty. His sunglasses reflected everything but emotion. Behind him, 2 assistants, one carrying a clipboard, the other filming on a phone. Samantha stood near the workbench, wiping grease off her fingers, watching them approach like hawks circling prey. "Wilson Auto," Granger said, looking around. "I expected someone older. Where's Hank?" Samantha raised an eyebrow. "Fishing in Montana. I run the shop now." Granger smirked. "So I've heard. They say the legend left his garage to his daughter. A bold move." "I'm not a story," Samantha replied coolly. "What do you need?" Granger snapped his fingers, and the assistant with the clipboard stepped forward. "This ZR1 has a custom supercharged V8. The engine's toast. Broken timing chain, warped cylinder head, seized crankshaft, and an electrical system that's shorted more times than a Vegas slot machine. 6 of the best teams in the state couldn't get it running. It's a lost cause." Samantha walked toward the car, her eyes scanning every detail like a surgeon evaluating a patient on life support. "I'm not here for repairs," Granger said. "I'm here for a dare." She stopped. "A dare?" Granger nodded. "You fix this car. No outside help, no new engine. No magic tricks, and I'll offer Wilson Auto a 5-year exclusive contract with Granger Motors. You'll get more business than you can, but if you fail..." He took off his sunglasses and looked her dead in the eye. "You shut this place down." For a moment, the air seemed to freeze. The sounds of the street faded, even the wind stopped. Samantha looked at the engine, then at her crew. Old Joe, who had worked with her father for decades, and Carlos, a young apprentice who worshipped the ground she walked on. They looked unsure, afraid even. But Samantha, she smiled. "I'll need 48 hours, she said. Granger blinked. "Excuse me? You said 6 teams failed. I'm not 6 teams, I'm one Wilson," she said. "Give me 48 hours. Granger laughed, genuinely amused. "You've got guts, Miss Wilson. I'll be back Wednesday at noon." He turned to leave, but paused. "Oh, and one more thing. If you tamper with the car or swap anything major out, the deal's off. We've got cameras installed. Every inch is being monitored." "Fair enough," she replied, already pulling her gloves back on. The moment he left, the garage buzzed with questions. "Sam, that engine's wrecked. He's trying to trap you. He wants this place shut down. He wants you to fail." But Samantha wasn't listening. Her brain had already shifted into gear. She circled the ZR1 like a panther, listening, feeling, thinking. Every sound, every smell told a story, and this car was screaming for someone to understand it. By nightfall, the engine was completely disassembled. She worked without breaks, fingers flying, eyes sharp. Every piece that came off was logged, cleaned, and analyzed. It wasn't just about fixing the engine. It was about understanding why it failed, and why the other teams missed what she was starting to see. There was something unusual in the wiring harness, a misrouted circuit, a component that didn't belong. Her eyes narrowed. This wasn't just a mechanical failure, she murmured. It was sabotage. The discovery changed everything. What Samantha saw in the Corvette's engine wasn't just wear and tear. It was deliberate. A resistor that didn't belong, spliced wires looped through the wrong channels, timing set too far out of sync to be accidental. This wasn't a mechanical issue. It was engineered sabotage. She sat back on the floor, breathing hard. "Carlos," she called. "Get me my laptop and bring the scanner." Within minutes, she had the car's ECU pulled and hooked to her diagnostic system. Line after line of error codes and override blocks filled the screen. Someone had rewritten the software to fail. A clever kind of failure, the kind that would bury any small-town mechanic in confusion. But not Samantha Wilson. By midnight, her suspicions were confirmed. The programming had been altered just enough to mimic common system faults. The sabotage wasn't recent either. Whoever did this wanted the car to be unfixable, especially if it ended up here. This wasn't a test. It was a trap. She stared at the name on the car's registration again. Granger Motors Test Vehicle. Granger had planted the car, just to humiliate her, to discredit her garage, bury her father's legacy, and send a message. Don't challenge giants. But Samantha didn't scare easily. She rolled up her sleeves. For the next 36 hours, the garage turned into a battlefield. Samantha barely slept. She worked with a relentless energy fueled by anger, pride, and something deeper, a promise she made to her father to protect this shop. She re-engineered the ECU software line by line, building a custom patch to bypass the sabotage. She machined a new valve seat on her own lathe. She heat-treated the warped cylinder head using an improvised furnace. She hand-wound a new wire harness, soldering every joint with military precision. Old Joe brought her food, Carlos kept the coffee hot, and neither of them dared interrupt unless it was important. On Wednesday morning, 11:30 a.m., Samantha lowered the hood. Her hands were trembling, not from fear, but from fatigue. Every bone in her body ached, but her eyes were alight. She turned the key. The engine coughed, then roared to life. Smooth, even, perfect. Carlos whooped. Joe clapped. Even the neighbors leaned out their windows in disbelief. At 11:55 a.m., a black SUV rolled up. Charles Granger stepped out, a smug smile on his face. He looked around, confident, relaxed, like a man about to watch his rival fold. "So," he said, strolling toward the car, "should I call the demolition crew now or—" Samantha tossed him the keys. "Take it for a spin." Granger blinked. "Excuse me? You heard me? Take it around the block, or are you afraid of being impressed?" He hesitated, but pride wouldn't let him back down. He got in, started the engine, and his eyebrows lifted at the smooth purr. He shifted into drive and disappeared down the street. 2 minutes later, he was back. He stepped out slowly. For the first time, his smug expression was gone. "What did you do?" he asked. "I fixed it," she replied, wiping her hands. "No," he said, stepping closer. "No, that engine was programmed to fail. 6 teams failed. I paid them." He stopped short, realizing what he just said. Samantha crossed her arms. "You just admitted to planting a rigged test car to destroy a small-town business." Granger looked around, suddenly remembering his assistant, who was still recording. Samantha raised an eyebrow. "Live streaming, wasn't it?" The assistant's eyes went wide. He turned the phone around, over 4,000 viewers and counting. Local auto forums, small business groups, news outlets. Word was spreading fast. "You'll never prove sabotage," Granger growled. Samantha pulled a flash drive from her pocket. "Here's the software log, with timestamps, and cross-checks with the vehicle's diagnostic history. I'll let the internet decide." Granger's face turned red. "You just made the biggest mistake of your life." Samantha stepped forward, her voice low and calm. "You came to bury my father's legacy, to destroy something you didn't build. But you forgot one thing, Mr. Granger. This shop runs on pride, not fear." She turned and walked back toward the garage. "Contract or not," she said over her shoulder, "I already won." 2 weeks later, Wilson Auto's parking lot was overflowing. Cars from 4 counties waited for service. The shop's website had gone viral. News stations called Samantha the engine whisperer. And Granger Motors? They were under federal investigation for unethical business practices. Samantha stood outside the garage watching Carlos guide another customer in. Old Joe brought her a soda. Hank would have been proud. Samantha smiled. He would have been mad I skipped lunch. Joe laughed. True? She looked at the shop sign, faded but strong. Wilson Auto, Esther 1963. Now it meant something more. Legacy, family, fight. And one young woman who turned the impossible into a second chance.